What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Founder Academy. I am Mark, the FUT founder. This is going to be what I'm going to call the catch-up episode. So this is going to be a lot of SBCs, a lot of team management, a lot of objectives, just basically any kind of roster movement that you guys have seen within the team, or that you're going to see within the team over the last couple weeks. So the last episode, we did our FUT Champs run from 2 weeks ago. The next episode is going to be our next FUT Champs run that we did this past weekend, and then I had all the gameplay in between. I'm canceling all that out. I'm getting rid of all that stuff because I need to play catch up. I need to get up to where we are because I want to keep the content as relevant as possible to all the new stuff going on. So this is all our player picks and SBCs and all of that stuff going on. So this is going to be like a mega episode of just like player movement. I'll just give you a quick dissection of everything that's going on. So before we jump into some of the player reviews, if you guys could hit a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. And anyone new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate all the support. It helps. So, now that I got that out of the way, our first SBC, this was Steven Gerrard. So, Steven Gerrard, I never recommend doing packs, right? And what I mean by that is anything to do with do an icon pack, because you're just going to get some crap. You're never going to get anything good. The only times I ever recommend doing icon SBCs, if at all, is when there's a player pick, and even those are garbage. These ones are okay, they're livable. But for the most part, I have not gotten anything good, but at least it gives you the option to pick something. That pack right there was going against my better judgment, and I was like, you know what? It's a cheap one. It's a prime one. And to be honest with you guys, I just got caught up in watching too many Twitch streams and YouTube videos of seeing the minority of people getting really good cards, whereas the majority of people get garbage, but they never see that stuff. The stuff that gets Pele or Hullet or whatever, those are the ones that you're going to see on Twitter getting likes, and those are the ones that are going to give you all the FOMO, and then you do this and you end up getting stupid Steven Gerrard. So no offense to Liverpool fans, but Steven Gerrard's terrible in this game. He's awful. Even if I was a Liverpool fan, I still wouldn't use him. I do not recommend him. I think I tried him offline. He was absolutely bang average, if at all. You could never use him online. You say he's terrible. So to think that that's a prime card is really insulting to Steven Gerrard and Liverpool fans. They've done so many prime cards dirty. I've said this for years that icons none of them should be under 80 pace. Not a single one. The Baraces of the world, the Bobby Moores of the world, fantastic defenders, are unusable. How you could pack an icon and have them unusable is beyond me. That just shows you how out of touch a lot of the people at EA are. I hate it. I hate that fact that they have icon cards that are not usable icons. None of them should not be usable. They should all be good. And I'm not saying they should all be meta, but I just think their rating system is totally out of whack. Ruud Gullit is one of the best cards in FIFA. And no offense to Ruud Gullit. I'm a big fan of Ruud Gullit in person, but he was an average, I don't say average, but he was a good player, but there's better players out there that have lower rated cards than Ruud Gullit. To think that Ruud Gullit is one of the most desirable cards in FIFA every single year is really crazy to me. Honestly, it's really insane to me. He's good, but he just fits towards the meta of the game, and to me that just shows you how terrible this game is designed. How a card like Ruud Gullit is literally just pace, and he's just balanced in terms of having power and defending, and he's just a well-rounded card, but it doesn't really reflect how good he was comparatively to some of the other icons out there. He was a really good player, but he cut his international career really early. He accomplished quite a bit with the team in the late 80s, but by the World Cup 90 he was pretty much done, right? He was essentially out of the Holland team, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of Ruud Gullit history, but you know what I mean? He was a very good player in those Milan days, but he is a card who's almost every single version of him, with the exception of the baby, are the most meta cards in the game, and it just is really bizarre to me. I don't understand that. Whereas you get a guy like Steven Gerrard, not to say that Gerrard is good or better or worse than Gullit, but he's unusable. No version of him is good, and you can't put him in a team. You can't take him online because he's going to be a weak link. Anyway, that was kind of a rant in terms of the icon stuff, but in terms of packs, never do a pack because you're going to get garbage like that. In terms of the player picks, I would only recommend doing them if you can get the amount of fodder that was required to dump it into, so you're not spending a whole lot of money, because you guys will see some of the player picks that we got there atrocious. The MLS stuff, That is because a lot of them were objectives, and then I usually build an MLS team. So usually the way the flow goes throughout the course of the year for me is I'll put most of my coins towards my main team. I'll end up getting untradeable cards like this Joel Matip, for example. He'll go into what I usually consider a secondary team. It ends up being EPL guys that I've just accumulated that are untradables. They kind of become a secondary team for me, which I'll use for like squad battles and offline stuff. And then the third team ends up usually being an MLS team. I just like collecting MLS cards. I'm in North America, so I don't really follow MLS that closely. I follow like the league in terms of the standings, but I don't sit there watching it. It's as much as I hate to say this, MLS is really atrocious in terms of watching it from a quality of football standpoint. Like I live in Vancouver, and watching the Whitecaps can be very painful. It's, and that's no disrespect to any of the players in the league, but there's just a lot going on in terms of the quality, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think it has some stunners in terms of finishes in it, but a lot of the play really lacks because it lacks like a lot of really key, ball moving midfielders, for example. So it's a lot of kick and run, a lot of wing play, a lot of crosses and stuff like that. And it can be not necessarily the best football, but at the same time, I still try to support it. You guys see the DC United badge I have every year as my like icon, my logo, because that was my original MLS team. So I always like the color schemes, the jerseys and stuff like that. And next thing you know, I end up having an MLS team of actual cool players that I put together and, again, use them kind of in some offline stuff. And eventually they might be good enough once Team of the Season comes out to take online if they release even more cooler cards. The 85 plus like triple packs, they released a bunch of those. I did any of those. Any of these 84 player picks, they've been doing a lot of these. I think they're just trying to coin sync. They don't want to release too many really cool cards. They just want to release SBC, so people are dumping all their stuff in and basically drawing their clubs up for Team of the Season. I recommend, if you're smart enough, don't get sucked into too many of these unless they're good value. Now, if you're just striving for any content, do them. But things like the 82 plus, don't do those, guys. Don't do those if you can avoid it, because it's like the 82 plus, it only gives you one card and you have to dump a bunch of your stuff into it. And next thing you know, your club's very bare and it's empty, and you've got a bunch of 82s that maybe you were trying to put together to like get Kylian Mbappe. If you would have done that, now your team's completely empty. Next thing you know, Team of the Season is around the corner. And guess what? They want you to put in FIFA points so you can buy cards, right? Or you can buy packs. That's what their goal is, right? This has been a really, really money-driven iteration of FIFA. They have scaled back grinding. They've scaled back anything where you can actually pack good cards. The pack weights have fallen through the floor. There's a ton of promos, and the only thing that has been really prevalent and consistent throughout the year has been promo packs being released. 125s are almost out every single day. 100Ks are out almost every single day, and then now they've got these 85s, 86, and I've even seen an 87 plus player pack that they have. They want to convince you to try to put FIFA points on and buy those packs, right? Because they're trying to create FOMO. They're just like, look at these cool cards that are only available in SBCs, and that's another reason for them not having like the party bags, right? They got rid of those party bags. They replaced it with those stupid SBCs where you can pack like a previous SBC. It's like a player pick of the 3 SBC cards from like the history of FIFA 22. So I think you'll see one of them in here. I think I did one of them, but they're really bad value. Again, they're coin sinks, but they don't want the players from the promo cards going into those SBCs, guys. Be smarter. You know what they're doing. You know what they're trying to do, guys. So be smart about it. Any of those things that are just like get an untradeable SBC card as a player pick, I don't recommend doing them. They're too expensive. Even 84s, 85s, like 84, 85 rated teams that require like 1 or 2 informs, that's a total coin sink. So I've stayed away from those as much as possible. I know it looks contradictory because I'm doing a lot of this stuff, but a lot of this stuff has been grinded for free, guys. This is the only time whenever possible I try to only use untradables in things. Like there's the odd time where I might buy a player pack, or not a player pack, a player or two off of the market in order to complete an SBC, but I only do it if it's something that's going to give me a bunch of high rated fodder. So like the Eric Lamela that you guys saw, that was an objective. That last 86 by 7, which I packed nothing in, no shocker there. That was from FUT Birthday, right? Grinded out the tokens, made sure I did like those daily SBCs. Those are really easy fodder, and you might pack something. They don't require like really high ratings. And next thing you know, you've got 786 plus rated cards, right? Which I made the mistake of dumping into an Icon SBC where I got Rivaldo for the second time. So I packed his mid version, and then I packed this prime version. I think I still have him in the club. He's awful. I tried giving Rivaldo a chance just because, you know what, I'm a big Rivaldo fan in terms of like what he accomplished. But he's another perfect example. I'm sitting there talking about Ruud Gullit earlier. Rivaldo was a fantastic player in real life. He accomplished a lot for that Barcelona team of the late 90s, early 2000s. Went to, I believe, Milan, where he had a couple good years, and then, you know, he accomplished a ton for that Brazil team, and this card's unplayable, right? Like, he's a 2-star weak foot. He never uses his right. I don't think the right can even complete a pass. Everything's forced onto the left, but he's not agile at all. He's so stiff that this year it's so spammy with like custom tactics that players just buzz around like bees. And if you have a guy who's too stiff, like Rivaldo, he's unusable, right? So a perfect example of a card that is just not playable in this FIFA. And who are the other two guys that I got? I think Alan Shearer and some other guy. Like, these are terrible, right? Maybe it's just jealousy, maybe it's just bitterness, but like I see all these guys that have like these teams, and I'm like, they've got Ruud Gullit and Ronaldo and Pele and all this stuff in like one team, and I'm like, where are these guys getting these from? Like, I have done 6 or 7 Icon SBCs where there's like player picks. So let's say of all the Icon cards that have popped up, I've probably had 17 pop up, and not one single one is usable. I think Rooney was the only one that, like, at all I had any interest in, and he's terrible. At this point in FIFA, he's absolutely terrible. He might have been okay earlier on if you would have got him within the first week, but he's not usable at all. I tried using him, not even online, but even offline. I think I tried playing him in like 1 or 2 division rivals games, and he's just so clunky. He's got a terrible weak foot. He's got no skill moves. I think he's got 3-star skill moves, so he's basically unplayable as a striker that can create his own shot because he can't do any skill moves, and he's just very lumbersome. He misses too many chances. He's got a really hard shot, but his stats are really fraudulent. He's not a very good card. I can't believe that he was like the 22 icon swaps or whatever it was from the first icon swaps. 22. Do you know how much work goes into these icon swaps? I can tell you from having done the Cafu recently, 11 was a grind. To do 22 and get that card, that is absolutely disgusting to me. These were the ones that I was talking about. I think I did both of these when the first time they did it, just to see what it looked like in terms of getting the previous SBCs. I was thinking maybe I'll get Ronaldo, maybe I can get... To be honest with you, the card that I really wanted was Vinicius Jr., the Player of the Month one. Even though he's a little bit behind the player curve, I kind of want to try him out because he's so quick. He's got really high agility. I think he's 99 for his sprint speed and his acceleration, plus his agility and his balance are both 99, I think. So that's super meta in this FIFA, and I just kind of wanted to try him, but obviously we got nothing. We got garbage. So as soon as I got those 2 player picks, I was like, I'm done with these. Do not do them. Those are total coin sinks. This Ricardo Quaresma, another one of those really, really great valued SBCs. I know they put it in Liga NOS, or not put it in Liga NOS, but he plays in Liga NOS, so it's a little bit harder to link right now, but he's a fantastic super sub. I highly recommend doing that if you didn't get the chance to do him. Too bad. I know he's out of, or you can't do it anymore because he's like, that promotion's already done, but this was a great card. We were always going to do that, guys, like regardless. Even if he was a couple 100K, I probably would have done, because Ricardo Quaresma is one of my favorite players of all time. I love what he, the flair in which he used to play for like Porto and even way back in the day. Like, this is really going back, but back when he was at like Barcelona and Inter and stuff like that, like way back in the day, he was like just so awesome to watch, right? And like that outside of the foot cross that he used to do for Portugal and whatnot, like he was such a cool player. So one of my fan favorite cards, so I fanboyed a lot when that came out, and I had to do that. Another 85 times 3 pack. What did I get in this one? I know that I didn't get anything good, so I don't know why I'm acting like I'm shocked in it, but all of these, I think every time that they had an 85 by 3, 85 plus by 3, I ended up getting enough fodder that I was able to do an Icon player pick. So I just kept doing them over and over and over because I was just getting frustrated, and I was just like, you know what, it's only a matter of time before I pack something. Ended up doing another one, mid-prime Icon player pick. I was just like, I've got to get something one of these times. And open it up. What do we get? Silence. Look at that. Hugo Sanchez, Emmanuel Petit, and Fernando Hierro. Now, the best card is probably the Petit, but I'm not going to do Emmanuel Petit just because I have no interest in it. Fernando Hierro, another card they've done absolutely dirty. He was like a staple for that Spanish team of the 90s. He should be a lot better, right? But he's just unusable because he's too slow. When the Icon moments have less than 80 pace, I think that's saying a lot. So we end up taking that Hugo Sanchez. I used him a couple games. He was actually a decent card, but look, to get a Mexican Icon is not going to be super useful to us. I have a lot of strikers. Mexico is not the easiest country to link unless, you know, you're trying to link a Liga MX team or like a player maybe from MLS or something like that. But Mexico doesn't have a ton of really good cards. They haven't released too many promos with those guys in it. So Hugo Sanchez is going to go straight into an SBC. We used him a couple times and then we put him into an SBC. Jadon Sancho I ended up picking up. Look, I'm a big Sancho fan. I had that left mid. You guys saw that in the previous FUT Champs video that we did. But he was just not good enough, right? They did him so dirty, the base version, that even the inform was way behind the power curve. But I was excited that when they mini released him for FUT birthday, and I had to get him, so I ended up putting him into the squad. I think we paid like 800k or something like that, or somewhere around there. He's actually gone up. I think he's like 860 at the moment, but he's not going anywhere unless they release an even better version of him. But he's 5-star. He's an awesome card. He comes on as a super sub. The only reason that he's not in the squad is because we have Messi. The only formation that you can actually put him in where you can fit both of them in, I think, is a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1, something like that. I think both of those have it. But you know, there's no wingbacks in those formations. So I was playing around with it. Next thing you know, I have midfielders dropping into the defensive positions, and it just didn't work out. So I was not keen to do that, right? So I decided, I was like, you know what, maybe I'm going to mix up the team a little bit. One of the things that I decided to try out was, you know, I knew we were going to get this Cafu, but I wanted to try out getting Ronaldo in the team. CR7. So they released an inform version of Ronaldo. I ended up selling Hakimi, some other guys, and picking up inform Ronaldo, which you guys will see really shortly here. That card was not very good, I dare say. Like, he wasn't terrible, he wasn't awful, but he was just okay. The way I was using him in a 4-2-3-1 on the right hand side. He just didn't have that acceleration, right? At this stage in FIFA, you need everybody to be super rapid, and when I would get into space, right, he would get the ball. He had 5-star skills, so he would, you know, let's say do a ball roll, or he'd do a fake, or I'd do a skill move, and he didn't have that acceleration to jet into space. He just felt too lumbersome, and you got guys that have, you know, team of the year wingbacks, right? So as soon as I beat a guy, I need him to shoot into that space and be able to take advantage of it, and he was just too slow. He's an okay striker, he's a great finisher, but he's not a good enough like dribbler at this stage in his FIFA career, I guess you would say, to really be effective on the wing. So unfortunately, we ended up using him and then selling him. And then we do this last mid Icon player pick. It's funny because I actually decided to like play a little bit of FIFA today and do that last stage of the stadium development where you had to do a bicycle kick in squad battles on World Class, and it took me like an hour. It was like a freaking nightmare to do. It took me like 4 games to do. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is the final player pick we got, and we got Zola. So as you guys can see, total scam those Icon picks, but we'll probably end up doing some more just because I'm bound to get something good one of these days, right? So hopefully it's not the last month of FIFA before we get it. But that is going to be the end of the episode, guys. I appreciate you sticking with us to the very end here. And until next time, guys, when we do our next FUT Champs, which was this past weekend, you guys will see that in the next coming days. Take care, guys. Peace.